consensus at last as senators agree on a new revenue sharing formula after weeks of stalemate. What are the details, even as governors warned that it was likely to end in tears and premium ones? This is Business Insight. We are live from Broadcasting House. My name is Obrien Kimani. We also have more details about coronavirus numbers and why there is a significant spike after 5 days of numbers going down. What is not happening? We say that figures do not lie, and I'm about not to lie. Let's go to the Super War and have a look at the figures and the story that they're giving us. Look, the number of tested in the last 24 hours, 4,188. Confirmed cases out of the 4,000 is 183, which means about 4,005 people were tested negative for the virus. Recoveries in the last 24 hours is about 82, and unfortunately 5 people lost their lives in the last 24 hours. The total tally, we have 509,000 people plus 176. They have been tested so far since the first case was reported in Kenya in March. The number of confirmed cases, it continues to rise with 36,576 people confirmed to have the virus, and recoveries trailing in second with 23,611 people. The number of deaths as well at 642. That is the situation as we stand. We shall be having more details on this bulletin, why the numbers are going up and what is likely to be the implication if the trend persists, even as Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, announced or made clear efforts that the schools are likely to reopen not in the distant future. Let's first of all have a look at the highlights. It is finally over. Senate reaches a deal to end the county revenue sharing stalemate, with no county losing. The journey for reopening of schools kick off with President Uhuru Kenyatta launching a 1.9 billion shillings schools desks initiatives. And hopes dampened as the country records 183 new coronavirus cases, ending the 5 days low numbers. Welcome to the program. We are in the company of a sign language interpreter, Lelsa Odingo. Senators have finally reached consensus on the third basis for revenue allocation among county government. The lawmakers have agreed that no county shall receive less than what they were allocated in the fiscal year 2019-2020. However, the additional allocation will take effect in the year 2022-2023 financial year. In the new arrangement, counties shall instead have their share of the national revenue revised upwards, with Nairobi County pocketing an extra 3 billion shillings.
After weeks of grandstanding, senators have finally agreed to chart a way forward on the contentious third basis for revenue allocation among the counties. In adopting an abridged version of the formula, senators agreed that no county shall receive less than the amount of shareable revenue received by the county in the financial year 2019-2020.
County allocation will be 0.5, which is 50% of the 19-20 allocation ratio, plus the difference of whatever remains above, equitable share, minus 0.5 allocation ratio by the formula as stipulated above.
The lawmakers factoring in the 53 billion shillings promised to counties by the president in the next financial year.
The protracted process that we took has been able to bring on the table of our counties an additional 53.5 billion.
In the new arrangement, Nairobi County, whose allocation currently stands at 15.5 billion shillings, shall receive 19.2 billion shillings in the next financial year.
I, Ochilo Mbogo Ayako George, on behalf of the good people of Migori, and grateful for 1.2 billion that we have received, I vote yes.
I've managed to take to Kakamega 1.976 billion shillings. And therefore it's a win for Kakamega, it's a win for Vihiga, it's a win for Turkana, it's a win for Kenya.
The big winners in the agreed formula include Nakuru, Kiambu and Turkana, which shall receive an additional 2 billion shillings each. Wajir County, which was one of the devolved units staring at possible budgetary cuts in the Lunturi formula, will now receive an additional 929 million shillings in the next financial year.
I'm so happy that the so-called Lunturi formula that had proposed Muranga to lose 15 million is gone. Other formulas that were oppressive to Muranga or even the so-called big counties are gone, but it is only justice to the Kenyan. It's not justice to the people of Muranga only.
Abstentions 0, nays 0, ayes 41. The ayes have it.
The breakthrough in the Senate will perhaps bring some much-needed comfort to counties, which have been reeling from a cash crunch occasioned by the revenue impasse. For Channel 1 News, I am Edward Kabasa.
Well, let's see how the story goes. The Council of Governors is now accusing the National Treasury and the Controller of Budget for the cash crunch facing the county government. In a statement, the Council Chairperson, Wycliffe Obrien, says the two bodies have refused to adhere to an advisory opinion by the Supreme Court to allow counties access 50% of their equitable share based on the previous financial year to manage the affairs of the devolved unit. Obrien said the counties are faced with a crisis not of their making, hence forcing counties to move to court to resolve the situation.
On the day the county's shutdown directed from the Council of Governors was to take effect, it was business as usual and unusual for some of the 47 devolved units. At the Nairobi County Government offices, workers staged a demonstration claiming they have not been paid their dues for the months of July and August.
Hatujalipwa msara yetu ya July and August. Tunahitaji hizo pesa zote. Tuko na information ya kwamba pesa ziko za kulipa ya kutosha kulipa wafanyakazi mpaka December.
They accuse senators of politicizing crucial issues that affect workers.
What we are telling the Senate is that they are the people who are in charge of making laws relating to devolution. They must stop this monkey business of moving around and fighting each other in the name of getting some bribes to ensure that they delay this particular act.
The same script was repeated in Kiambu County, with doctors and nurses downing their tools protesting the delay of their salaries. The healthcare providers accusing the county government of being insensitive to their plight.
We have been neglected by the very organization that is meant to protect us as workers. Failure by the management to pay the August 2020 salaries severely distresses the employees of the county government of Kiambu.
However, operations at public hospitals within Nakuru County continued normally, despite a directive from the Council of Governors calling for shutdown of non-essential services in all devolved units.
If you have an impasse 3 times, then you all quit and have a new team. Because if you have not said it in 3 sittings, what will make you say it in 15th session? There is no need.
Residents streamed in and out of the health facilities as doctors and nurses were seen busy discharging and admitting patients.
Tumekuja hapa asubuhi na tumeshughulikiwa, sasa tumemaliza vyema. Sana nadhani matumizi iko mzima.
Zisifungwe kwa sababu nilikuja hapa saa 1 na saa hii by saa 5 nishamaliziwa.
Wananchi wataumia. Ni afadhali tu wasungumuse waone namna ya kusuluhisha hiyo maneno yao.
In Mandera County, with Governor Ali Roba distancing himself from the Council of Governors order issued on Wednesday, saying employees in the county will not be sent home on leave until circumstances dictate so.
Mandera County government will continue with all its operations in delivering services to the people of Mandera fully, and will continue partnering with our commercial bank to support salaries on overdraft.
This even as the County Assembly's Forum had issued an ultimatum to close down assemblies if the Senate failed to unlock the deadlock on a favourable revenue allocation formula.
It is not fair as a County Assembly's Forum for any reduction on the allocations that have been received previously by any county government. The baseline should be every county government to receive the minimum of what they received in the previous year.
The Deputy President William Ruto has asked the Council of Governors to reconsider the decision to shut down counties, saying it will derail the county's development agenda.
Kwa sababu serikali sasa imetoa pesa zaidi. Juzi Mheshimiwa Rais ametangaza. Mimi nataka niulize senators wetu waketi chini sasa, kwa sababu serikali kupitia kwa rais imetoa nyongeza ya pesa, wakubaliane, watafute njia ambayo kila county itashughulikiwa, tuendelee kutafuta na naamini tutapata formula ya win-win. Kila sehemu ya Kenya iweze kufaidika.
The Deputy President urged governors to take advantage of the Supreme Court ruling that unlocks 50% of their total allocation. Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has launched a 1.9 billion shillings school furniture project that will see Juakali artisans supply 650,000 locally assembled desks. Besides equipping secondary and primary schools, the project, which is part of the government's post-COVID-19 economic stimulus program, is aimed at boosting the sector.
Speaking at a furniture workshop in Umoja Estate, Nairobi County, the president said the project is modelled on the ongoing Kazi Mtaani Youth Employment Initiative. The head of state reiterated his commitment to continue improving the lives of all Kenyans by creating an enabling environment for hard-working citizens to thrive. At the same time, the president directed the Ministry of Education and that of Interior to ensure that the project benefits artisans across the country. He challenged local artisans to ensure they assemble and supply desks that meet the highest quality standards and advised project beneficiaries to form saving societies to grow their earnings from the program. The head of state, while on his way from the launch, made a brief stopover at the Nairobi railway station where he inspected ongoing modernization works. He was accompanied by Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i and his education counterpart, Professor George Magoha.
The Council of Governors is now accusing the National Treasury and the Controller of Budget for the cash crunch facing the county governments. And of course, you have heard it from them saying that this issue should now be resolved in a bid to continue. Well, we're taking a short break and we'll be back with more stories. Stay right here.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
Next on
Unapata wanawake wengi kwa sasa ni ngumu sana kupata makazi ama ni ngumu sana kuruhusiwa kwenda kufanya makazi. Mwanamke akiolewa unapata ni ngumu sana mume wake kumpa ruhusa aende akafanye kazi. Kisa na sababu ni nini?
Mwanamke wa Kiislamu anapaswa kuwa na elimu ya dini na ya dunia, kama alivyosema Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, talabul ilm faridhatun ala kulli muslim, yani kumaanisha kutafuta elimu ni lazima kwa kila binadamu ambaye ni Muislamu.
On the next Next episode of Corner.
Did Pamela tell you something?
Why would she tell me anything?
Coincidence?
No chance.
Things are getting creepy. Look.
It's so weird. Inviting people who used to be a part of my life.
They still are.
If they are, why didn't they come visit me at the hospital?
Stop this manhunt you're doing and move on with your life. This man might be your father. But do you think the man who hid him away from you for all this time just did all this stuff for nothing?
Why would anyone hide my father?
Next on.
Ethiopia is here.
That baby is annoying and she just can't stop.
Natafuta job.
Job gani?
Yoyote as long as nalipwa. So what would be your expectations if I hired you? Me and your family are not in the same social class.
Well, you're a pilot.
Oh, really? Your mom is very schemy. How so? What do you think, Jazz? It's Nancy we're talking about. Hi.
Kenya has recorded 183 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours, a departure from the few cases that the county has witnessed in the last 5 days. The new cases are from 4,188 samples, and the national tally of confirmed cases now stands at 36,576. To date, the ministry says the country has lost 16 healthcare workers and 945 others infected by the virus. Purity Museo is on that beat.
The country's coronavirus tally rose to 36,576 Thursday after 183 more people tested positive for the virus in the last 24 hours from 4,188 samples tested. 14 of the new cases are foreign nationals, while the rest are Kenyans aged between 7 months and 8 years old. During the daily COVID-19 briefings at Afya House, Nairobi, the Minister of Health further revealed that 131 of the new cases are male, whereas 52 are female.
We have Nairobi County leading with 54, Kisumu County follows on with 26, Mombasa has 20, Trans Nzoia 16, Kericho 11, Nakuru 10, Kisii 7, Machakos 6, Meru 5, Turkana 5, Lamu, Nyeri, Siaya, Kiambu have 3 cases. Kajiado, Busia, Homa Bay, Kilifi, and Samburu have 2 cases, whereas Kakamega and Embu each have 1 case.
The country has so far lost 642 patients, including 16 healthcare workers. 5 patients succumbed to the deadly disease in the last 24 hours.
Today we have 82 people that have recovered from the disease, 33 from the home-based care program, whereas 49 have been discharged from various health facilities. And so with regards to total recoveries, we stand at 23,611.
As Kenya joined the world in commemorating the World Patients Safety Day Thursday, the Minister of Health assured of adequate measures to protect healthcare workers following concerns of inadequate personal protective equipment.
Any issues that may be happening in any hospital pertaining payment of any salary arrears, issues of promotions are being handled through the mechanisms that are there. But I can give you assurances from the discussions we've had in the morning, hospitals are operating, that service is available for you. And
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Kenya has embarked on a new robust approach to eradicate malaria and contribute towards the achievement of universal health coverage. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the malaria youth engagement strategy is a sustainable model that will go a long way in reducing infection and mortality rate in Kenya. Well, the country has seen a significant reduction of malaria cases treated in hospitals from 6 million to 4.6 million annually. Speaking while delivering a video message to the Pan-African Youth Digital Consultation to develop a malaria youth engagement strategy, Kagwe noted that the last year malaria claimed
the vision
400,000 lives,
Africa
majority of
Renaissance
them women and children in Kenya and sub-Saharan Africa.
The vision of Africa Renaissance by founders of the African Union cannot be realized if we don't actively engage and invest in young people. Over 75% of Africa's 1.2 billion inhabitants are under the age of 35. It is evident that given proper investments, population dynamics can play a catalytic role in facilitating inclusive economic growth and poverty reduction.
Nairobi County health workers have called off their 7-day strike after reaching an agreement with the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. The health workers had downed their tools, citing, among other things, poor pay and lack of adequate personal protective equipment in the management of COVID-19. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services Health Director Josephine Mbai acknowledges that health workers in Nairobi County have stagnated in one job group for long, and that the service will endeavor to improve their working conditions for better service delivery.
Our strike, which began on 10th, has finally come to an end. This is after all the issues which were our grievances have been addressed fully by our employer, Nairobi Metropolitan Services.
Na matakwa yale ambayo tumeyasema katika muktaba wetu ambao tumeelewana leo, tunaomba ya kwamba yazingatiwe kikamilifu, sababu tumeelewana kama viongozi ya kwamba wafanyakazi wetu ambao ni wa members wetu waweze kusaidika na waweze kuweza kupata ile ambayo tunasema ni haki yao.
So there is a lot of need to harmonize and also to change the working culture of the human resource, so that we direct our effort to serving the Wanjiku.
Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi has called on Kenyans to make a wise decision come the year 2022 general election to ensure they vote in a government that will concentrate on restoring the economy. Meanwhile, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and members of the County Assembly have resolved to bury their hatchet and work together to advance the development in the region.
Speaking in Nyaribo Village, Nyeri Town constituency during the burial ceremony for the late Mwalimu Gashanja wa Kiai, the brother to human activist Maina Kiai, Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi said the country's debt burden can only be eased if Kenyans make wise decisions at the ballot in 2022. Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga on his part said the electorate and leaders in the region are yet to decide on whom they will back for the presidency come 2022, and welcomed Mudavadi to campaign in the region.
All have an obligation, in the spirit of Kiai, going forward, to ask ourselves, what kind of leadership are we looking for post-2022? Is it a leadership that can actually resuscitate the economy? Because the problem is the economy, number one. Problem number two, the economy. Problem number three, the economy.
We want you to go down, mpaka utuambie chief na dio utatupatia wangapi. Then we can sit and talk. For many days, tumekuwa mnatuchukua tu ati tumefuata sijui tunaenda wapi. Hapana, wacha na sisi tu negotiate saa hii ama namna gani. So this is, come to us, talk to us, speak to us, visit Nyeri.
Elsewhere in Kirinyaga County, Governor Anne Waiguru and the members of the County Assembly have resolved to work together for the good of the region. The truce was reached after a meeting in Sagana Town.
Niseme tumeongea na tukasikizana ya kwamba tutakuwa na uwiano na kushirikiana na serikali serikali yetu ya county na pia wabunge na pia wakulima, kama vile ambavyo unaona leo na vituo vingine vya serikali kama hiyo NIB ili tusaidie watu wetu wa Kirinyaga. Hiyo maneno ya siasa tumesema tutaweka kando, kwanza tufanye kazi.
Tumesikizana na NIB na wale wasimamizi wa wakulima, water users, venye hiyo kazi tutakuwa tunafanya na kule itaanza. Kile tungeomba watu wetu ni utulivu, ndiposa tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba yale yote tumepanga yatakamilika.
Meanwhile, Kiambu Governor James Nyoro has taken a swipe at a section of county assembly members who he says are in working cahoots with a section of political leaders in the region to plot his impeachment.
And we can have all motions all over the world. Me, I'm not very worried if I have a motion next week to say that I'm insane. There are psychiatrists who will show that I'm not sane. I'm not insane. So I would urge our readers, including the members of assembly and so on, this is the time to pull together. We cannot continue to pull apart.
Finally, Kandara Member of Parliament Alice Wahome has defended her court petition challenging the inclusion of Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General Major General Mohammed Badi in the cabinet. Wahome says Badi will be a stranger in the cabinet as he was appointed without Parliament's approval.
I've looked through the Constitution article number 152 that sets or composes, that has the composition of the cabinet. The composition of the cabinet has been given in that article, and it is composed of 1, the president as number 1, number 2, the deputy president of the republic, number 3, the cabinet secretaries, 14, not less than 14 and not more than 22, and fourthly, the secretary to the cabinet. And that's all. You cannot have an extra person sitting in the cabinet swearing an oath of office under the Constitution, and especially and particularly when that particular person, Major General Badi, is actually a military officer.
The government has deployed the Rapid Response Unit to Lelaitich Farm along the Kericho-Kisumu border after 12 cows were hacked for grazing on a disputed piece of land. Police have launched investigations into the incident and are calling on the locals to maintain peace and desist from any retaliatory attempt. These and more in the county's news roundup.
Tension is high between two communities living at Lelaitich area at the border of Kericho and Kisumu County over the hacking of 12 herds of cattle. This is after cows said to be owned by a Mau evictee strayed and grazed on a piece of land belonging to a rival community. A meeting to cool down tension was held in the area to stop retaliatory attacks.
Kuna watoto walikuwa wanachunga ng'ombe karibu na mtoni ambaye ni mpaka ya Kisumu County na Kericho County, na kuna mtu mmoja ambaye bado hajajulikana hadi wa leo alikuja akafukuza watoto na akakatakata ng'ombe.
Meanwhile, property of unknown value has been destroyed after fire gutted down a livestock farm along Kenyatta Road area in Juja area in Kiambu County. A number of livestock also died after choking from smoke and heat that emanated from the farm. Police have commenced investigations into the incident. Elsewhere, members of the Garissa County Assembly allied to Governor Ali Koren are urging youth in the county to desist from being used by politicians to propagate hate and incitement through social media platforms. The county legislators allege that some senior politicians from the county have taken advantage of the predicaments facing Governor Koren to earn political mileage by propagating lies. And in Samburu County, residents and leaders held peaceful demonstrations to condemn the killing of a woman by bandits in Baragoi area. Leaders and residents urged the national government to take necessary steps to avoid such incidents in future.
Jana jioni saa moja mama ameuliwa. Sasa nataka kuuliza, mama maskini kama huyo Si mama anabeba punduki, si mama ana kijana kwenda kupigana, si mama ana nini, ni mama tu anafanya kandarasi zake ndani ya hiyo town.
In Kirinyaga County, Miraa farmers in the region have formed a circle to market their produce. Speaking after receiving the certificate from the cooperative officials, the farmers' representative James Hamugo said the region will benefit from the kitty set aside for revitalization of the Miraa industry. Elsewhere, in Mombasa County, compensation of 545 Buxton estate tenants will commence early next month to pave way for the implementation of 6 billion shillings Buxton housing project, which has been at the center of controversy. The developer, who is also a Mombasa-based businessman, Suleiman Shaban, confirmed that 240,000 shillings will be paid is relocation fee on 1st of October this year, while 60,000 shillings will be deposited as guarantee for owning the new houses.
And the way forward, 1st of October, residents wa Buxton wanapawa check yao ya relocation. On the same day, akipawa ile notice, anapewa barua ingine, which is giving him the right to apply for his new apartment on that same day.
And finally, the Commission on Administrative Justice has begun lobbying for the domestication and implementation of law on access to information in the county government. Speaking after meeting Kilifi, Governor Amason Kingi, Chairperson Florence Kajuju said their aim is to ensure the Access to Information Act 2016 is domesticated and implemented in all the 47 counties to enable members of the public access information from the government with ease.
Requires the counties to ensure they domesticate the Access to Information Act.
A manhunt for over 200 prisoners who escaped from a jail in Moroto, Uganda is ongoing. 7 out of 219 prisoners who escaped from the jail have been recaptured. Security forces are still tracking others believed to have ran naked to the forest. The prison facility is built on the foothills of Mount Moroto on the edge of the town.
7 out of the 219 prisoners who escaped from a jail in northeast Uganda have been recaptured. Some of the fugitives reportedly took off their distinctive yellow prison uniforms and fled naked into the hills to avoid detection. The escapees are thought to be trying to use the mountain routes to cross the border into Kenya. The inmates killed a soldier after they broke out of the facility in Moroto and made away with 15 guns and ammunition. An army spokesperson said 2 inmates on the run had also been killed. And the head of Libya's internationally recognized government in Tripoli, Prime Minister Fayez al-Serraj, has announced his intention to step down. He has come under pressure from factions within the Tripoli government and from recent protests against worsening living conditions and government corruption. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has warned of a serious situation in Europe as coronavirus cases spike. And South Africa, which had one of the world's earliest and strictest lockdowns, has announced a further easing of anti-coronavirus measures. This is even as New Zealand announces its deepest recession in decades. This follows its strict measures in response to COVID-19 pandemic, which were widely praised. The country's GDP shrank by 12.2%, but the government hopes its pandemic response will lead to a quick recovery. There has been nearly 30 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the world, as well as 939,000 deaths, according to data from the Johns Hopkins University. Elsewhere, traces of the nerve agent allegedly used to poison Russian politician Alexei Navalny has been found. The agent was found on a bottle in the hotel room where he stayed before falling ill. The Russian opposition leader collapsed on a flight in Siberia in August. Finally, Hurricane Sally has left more than 500,000 Americans without power as its torrential rains and storm surges. Sally weakened after it made a landfall as a Category 2 hurricane on Wednesday, but the slow-moving storm continues to batter Florida and Alabama. 1 person was killed and hundreds were rescued from the flooded areas. Catastrophic and life-threatening flooding continues over portions of the Florida Panhandle and southern Alabama.
Time for business news. Project Crude Oil Kenya hangs in the balance after Tullow Oil fired its managing director and indicated plans to send home an unconfirmed number of employees in anticipation of limited activity in the field. The company replaced Martin Bogo as managing director with Madhavani Srinivasan, who has been Tullow Oil Kenya's asset director substantively from end of the year, as recorded.
Tullow Oil had earlier indicated it had put off the sale of Kenya assets to conduct a comprehensive review of the project, including a consideration for alternatives to exit. Group Chief Executive Rahul Dir ordered a comprehensive review of the company's portfolio, growth prospects and capital structure, which he expects to lay out at a capital markets day towards the end of this year. As it looks, the review has begun rolling, with the managing director for Kenyan operations, Martin Bogo, being the first to face the axe. The company in a statement announced the management changes, saying Mbogo will stay until the end of his contract in December 2020 to hand over the functions to Madan Srinivasan, who takes over with immediate effect. Unspecified number of employees, the company says, will exit over the next few months as field activity will be minimal. Tullow says the changes will allow the Explorer work effectively with its joint venture partners on the Project Oil Kenya development concept. The changes come after the company announced that the early oil pilot scheme had been ended in June this year, citing expiry of the 2-year license for the pilot project. The early oil pilot scheme allowed Kenya's oil to be marketed and established in the world market. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
My producer is just laughing at me because I had difficulties in trying to announce or to pronounce the name substantively. It's always give me problems. The government has rolled out a 15 billion shillings project on job creation targeting more than 50,000 youth from 17 counties. ICT Chief Administrative Secretary Nadia Ahmed says the initiative under the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project equips the youth with skills that they can use to land jobs, start their own businesses and employ others.
The Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project is a 15 billion shilling project by the government financed by World Bank, targeting those aged between 18 and 29 who are Form 4 finalists and below. The 5-year project seeks to improve youth employability, support job creation and strengthen youth policy development.
To get skills. Inafundisha vijana kuwa kazi ni mahali popote. Ukiwa una mikono yako miwili, ukiwa unaweza kuona, ukiwa unaweza kusikia, ni umuhimu sana uchukue skills ambazo unapewa.
ICT Chief Administrative Secretary Nadia Ahmed Abdallah, who led a delegation from the State Department for Youth in assessing the preparedness of training providers to resume youth training programs, which was stopped due to COVID-19 effects, lauded it for equipping the youth with skills that they can use to secure jobs, start their own businesses and create jobs.
Mtandao link yake, unaenda online, you apply for it, and then they have a mechanism, a process that automatically picks people. You get picked on a software.
The 4th cycle of the training and internship was previously suspended in March due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
So we are basically looking at even reviving the economy. That is the whole idea about KIOP. Getting employment for yourself and also trying to employ other people, other young people along the way.
So far, 32,124 youth have received training and internship in both the formal and informal sectors, out of which 75% have secured employment.
The World Bank is seeking to strengthen the fish value chain in the Lake Region counties to cushion the sector from further effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The project Secretariat Coordinator Timothy Odende says the project targets to engage over 1 million youths in the region and also help in restocking the Lake Victoria that has recently witnessed dwindling fish stocks.
Since the first case of coronavirus was reported in Kenya in March, activities in the fishing industry have been adversely affected as measures taken to curb the spread of the virus take toll on the industry's value chain. In efforts geared towards reviving the sector, the World Bank has started a fish value chain funding project in Busia, Kakamega and Kisumu counties. First up is a 60 million shillings funding of fishing activities, including construction of a modern fish market in Busia.
That is a success story, starting from a 2 million project to a 60 million project, and it's one of its kind in East and Central Africa because it is a two-story building that is going to cater for all our farmers, fish farmers actually.
The fishing project also seeks to create employment opportunities to those whose incomes have been affected.
We are really excited about the World Bank project because when we started off with irrigation, but now we're looking into poultry, and we're really excited about this fishing project as well.
Area leaders say the funding will go a long way in restocking Lake Victoria that has seen stocks dwindle over the years due to overfishing.
This fish has been depleted, and so today we don't have fish being produced in the natural habitat. Hence, we have introduced other systems like the caging system.
It's going to offer opportunities for our youth, and more so in this region, wanasema tunakula na macho samaki because we don't see the fish on our tables.
The World Bank and the national government have also rolled out a 15 billion shillings aquaculture farming project in the country.
When you're watching Business Insight, a short break is well deserved. We still have more, plus revelations into the Ethiopian airline crash. The US Congress is blaming Boeing as well as Federal Aviation Authority. Stay right here.
On the next episode of
salamu ya mwisho wa mukata.
Na mkata nani?
Kwa kwenda hujamkata mtu. Ajue hapa kuna mbali.
Kuna nini mlango? Kuna nini huko ndani?
Lapio. Akiangana na lapio kapita.
Tujali kazi zenu
Jumapili hii kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Judah, my trust is in you.
Welcome back. Well, remember the Boeing crash in March of last year? Oh yeah, was such a bad accident. An investigation into the Boeing 737 MAX twin crashes has found that the accidents were partly due to plane makers' unwillingness to share technical details. It blames a culture of concealment at Boeing, but says the regulatory system was also fundamentally flawed. Kenya had the highest number of people who lost their lives at 32 when an Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX crashed in March of 2019.
Investigation into two Boeing 737 MAX crashes involving an Ethiopian Airlines aircraft and Lion Air flights by U.S. Congress is highly critical of both Boeing and the regulator, the Federal Aviation Administration. Boeing said it had learned many hard lessons from the accidents, but the families of the victims accused the company and the regulator of continuing to hide information. The investigation said that Boeing failed in its design and development of the MAX, and the Federal Aviation Administration failed in its oversight of Boeing and its certification of the aircraft. The Boeing 737 MAX has been grounded since March 2019 after two crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia, which caused the deaths of 346 people. In the Ethiopian Airlines crash that killed 157 people, 32 were Kenyans, 4 whom were Paul Njoroge's wife, 3 children and a mother-in-law. Njoroge said the report documented clear dereliction of duty by Boeing and the Federal Aviation Administration in the design and certification process of the 737 MAX. Michael Stumo, whose daughter Samia Rose Stumo died in the Ethiopian air crash, said the Federal Aviation Administration should immediately halt the recertification process for the 737 MAX in light of the report. The 245-page report found a series of failures in the plane's design combined with regulatory capture, an overly close relationship between Boeing and the federal regulator, which compromised the process of gaining safety certification. Regulators around the world are currently putting the modified 737 MAX through its paces.
The hospitality industry is steadily recovering from lows experienced during the COVID-19 travel restrictions, helped by domestic tourists who have seen hotels resume most of their services they have been offering. Pride in Hotels General Manager Jackton Omutala says the pickup has seen the facility recall 7% of their staff who had lost their jobs due to the pandemic.
The COVID-19 pandemic took a huge toll on the tourism industry. As countries closed their airspaces and local authorities announced measures to contain the spread of the virus, hotel activity grounded to a halt. This saw hotels temporarily shutting down, and in the process, most of the workers lost their jobs. Easing of the restrictions since June has helped hotel activity steadily pick up. Pride in Hotels General Manager Jackton Omutala says a pickup of conferencing has seen the facility recall most of the staff who had lost their jobs.
Today we have all our conference rooms fully booked. We have counties that are coming here to do planning. We have ministries that are also coming around to do planning, and also NGOs are coming back.
Domestic tourists are keeping the industry afloat as hoteliers tailor products to locals.
We opened to test the waters. We didn't open because we had guests. We opened so that people can know we have opened. And now after opening, we have seen people coming in. So other people should continue opening, and as we wait for the president to remove the curfew, because also curfew has really affected. For those who wanted just to come in during the day, they have to run back to the houses below 9 p.m. So that is also another factor.
Despite facilities recording near zero activity in March, April and May, bookings have been steadily increasing as the number of COVID-19 positive cases reduced in recent weeks, prompting the hotelier to project that the hospitality industry could be back on its feet by the close of this year.
We can see accommodation improving. We have now around, we were doing last week 40%, now we are doing 60% occupancy on accommodation. And in terms of conferencing, it is really picked up.
Me in entertainment, that sector was really affected. Since February, we've not worked. So you can imagine that we've been really hoping that the country can now get back to normal and we can start seeing the signs of that.
Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1 Business Insights.
Still on tourism matters, Malaria Conservancy in Narrow County is one of the most fascinating nature destinations featuring huge and varied animals. The Conservancy, which is watered by rivers Mara and Talek, is surrounded by hills. And of course tonight on the magical scenes, Irene Muchuma ventured out and ended up at Malaria Conservancy in the Mara Triangle.
Situated in the vast Masai Mara National Reserve, Malaria Conservancy is the place to be.
Yeah. And you even brought me the wine. This is fantastic.
The gem is surrounded by hills as well as River Mara, River Talek, meandering through the Conservancy.
We're all very close to the animals here. And the location itself is really nice. The camp is in a small forest. Very nice tents, great views, and we've had a great time. They're, looking at worrying about the conservation and supporting conservation efforts. Very good guides. And this time when we came, no plastic bottles, which is now the rule in the park. That's really good. So bring your own bottle.
Most of our clients are professional photographers, because they like the place, the location, and the animals out there. You don't drive too far, and the place is quite nice, and we like it. When our clients come without cameras, we can also offer them. We have nice cameras, professional cameras, that we can rent them sometime, and they really like. And here, the uniqueness is beautiful, because in the night you can only hear the hippos, the lions, everything in the night, just and the frogs around. So the environment here is completely very good.
It is cost effective. This is why we have been here twice by now, and we'll come back again.
Ni mahali utasikia kweli huko unakaa vizuri, umetumia hela zako nzuri, unapumzika, unafikiria, na kama kuna jambo ulikuwa unafikiria utafikiria na upate jibu.
Wildlife ranging from reptiles to amphibians swim in rivers and roam the area, and if you are lucky, you can spot, among others, a good number of wildebeest, zebras and lions, as well as a number of bird species from the comfort of your tented, rented facility. Irene Mchuma Udim, magical scenes in the county of Narok.
Boy, oh boy, Mara is always the real deal. You're watching Business Insight. We still have a lot lined up right here after this break.
Mbona unanipikia yako tu simu zai? Kwanza pasti yako imefika ama imepita? Kama imepita na huku niita, tafadhali shishiki hii simu yako. Lakini kama pato ichafika na ukushu utaniita, nitashika, nitakamatako tu sai. Kuwa mpole, be sorry.
Kupata birthday, bonyeza *811 *962#. Bonyeza *811 *962#.
This Friday on KBC Channel 1.
Story.
Story na ije.
Story come. Story.
Wewe, hizo salamu ama mwimbo.
Akata kila mtu atacheki na salamu vyema akole.
Atakwambiaje? Rafiki yake wa zamani?
So what would be your expectations if I hired you? Me and your family are not in the same social class.
Well, you're any pilot.
Oh, really? Hi. I mean...
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Do we look like the two dumbest guys in the world to you?
In this town, you don't mess with the law.
You know how fast you were going?
65.
63.
The law messes with you.
Isn't the speed limit 65?
Yeah, it is.
I'm freaking out, man.
Give me a double bacon cheeseburger.
Double bacon cheeseburger, it's for a cop.
They're coming back, man!
Pull the vehicle over. I'm already pulled over.
Pull over farther, man!
I can't pull it. Sir, I'm already pulled over.
He's already pulled over. He can't pull over any farther.
Super Troopers.
Kitwek FM, Kegosin.
The Kenya Tea Development Agency is in the final stages of setting up Africa's first Japanese specialty green tea production factory as part of its long-term product diversification strategy. The factory, which will be located at Kangaita Tea Factory in Kirinyaga County, will be used to pilot the processing of the specialized Japanese Sencha green tea, which fetches a higher price than traditional black tea. Here are the details of these and more.
The Japanese Specialty Green Tea Production Factory is a collaborative effort between the Japan International Cooperation Agency, the Agriculture and Food Authority and KTDA, whose success will be rolled out to other factories. Part of the project involves mechanized green leaf plucking, as the production of Japanese Sencha green tea demands a certain type of leaf quality to go through the processing plants.
Of late, KTDA is on a project to diversify the kind of project or products we are putting out into the market. We started with orthodox, black orthodox, and we are going on to green tea. We are doing pilots on green tea. And this particular plant is to process a special type of green tea called Sencha.
Meanwhile, Microsoft, through its For Africa initiative, has entered into a deal to support the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa digital transformation as it works to improve food security for 30 million farming households across 11 countries by 2021. The deal aims to encourage the use of big data and artificial intelligence in the digital transformation of agri, working with the Kenyan government and expanding to Nigeria, Rwanda, Ghana, Tanzania, Uganda, Malawi, and Ethiopia. The deal will also support skills development in agri through leveraging existing Microsoft programs, including co-managing an internship program. Finally, UAP Old Mutual Group has appointed Arnold Dipenar as the Group Chief Financial Officer. Dipenar was, until his appointment, the Head of Product Services, Personal and Business Banking, Africa Regions at Standard Bank of South Africa. The company has also named Abdallah Hussein Hamis as the Group Chief Operations Officer and Grace Wakonye Thiongo as Group Head of Compliance. The latest changes come only 4 months after the company named Arthur Oginga as the Group Chief Executive Officer to replace Peter Mwangi.
The engineering industry is reinventing itself amid growing demands for local solutions within the food processing industry. According to DK Engineering Technical Director Leonard Kamau, increasing demand for healthy food since the onset of COVID-19 has been driving up orders for locally manufactured machines to process indigenous crops. Regina Manyara visited the plant and files the following story.
Buy Kenya, build Kenya. Is it a myth or reality? I'm Regina Manyara. We're focusing on the local manufacturing industry with keen interest in the local engineering sector. Joining me for this conversation is none other than Leonard Kamau, the Technical Director of DK Engineering. Welcome, sir, and thank you for your time. So how is the local engineering sector reinventing itself in light of COVID-19?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this talk. The engineering sector has been affected so much because the normal business is not normal anymore, but we need to come up, and what we are doing is to come up with new ideas and listening to the growing demand of new needs that potential or clients, people are coming up with because of being at home and thinking outside the box. Where a lot of people are coming up with new ideas that we need to engineer processes that will suit their needs. So this is what we are doing about it. For example, there are people coming up with baked products, so we will be able to give them local equipment that will suit the need of baking or drying or processing juice, making peanut butter, making jam, making drinking juices, natural juices. So we are coming up with equipment that are able to process this kind of product.
Why is there a keen interest in food processing?
Well, number one is healthy living. You have seen a lot of people doing exercises. That's part of health. Food, going back to our natural food, not processed foods. Though we are talking of processing equipment, our process is maintaining the origin food. Like if we talk of drying of bananas, if we talk of drying of tomatoes, if we talk of drying of sukuma wiki, terere, and other carrots, pumpkin, sweet potato, we are talking of processing or drying this equipment in their natural form, so that when it is consumed, it's consumed in the natural form without any additives. So really what we are talking about here is, one, value addition to food or agricultural produce. We are talking about what can we do with what we have. We are looking at food security. How can we preserve our food in the most natural way to have it for the longest season? So this is what we are looking at. And we have a lot of people who are coming up with different ideas. So for us as DK Engineering, we are led and driven by the ideas of a customer. We put in our engineering knowledge and skills and come up with equipment that will serve this customer, that will process this produce.
How has the market reacted to locally manufactured products, or rather what you say, locally engineered products?
Well, it's unbelievable because not many people believe that some of this equipment are produced in Kenya. For example, we are standing behind an oven. This is an oven made by ourselves, used as a dryer, can be used for baking, and we have produced it among other equipment. So yes, the reception is good because people are coming and they are interested, and we have a solution and they are willing to buy. So the challenge is pricing. This is food processing. So when we talk of food hygiene in the processing, we must use the right material, we must use the right process and method of manufacturing. This we are able to do, though a little bit it's found expensive because of the pricing.
Now, talking about pricing then, how do we rectify that particular issue?
What we really would want is to have the government reconsider taxation on material. Because I look at steel, same as baking flour. You can make mandazi, you can make chapati, you can make bread, you can make cakes, you can do samosas, you can do everything with your flour. So still, you can do a lot of things. We can do bodybuilding for vehicles, but we have chosen to do equipment. So this equipment, if the materials are taxed less, then definitely the equipment will be affordable to the market.
Have you felt the impact of the economic stimulus package that was rolled out by the president to cushion businesses during this COVID period?
We didn't have VAT on baking ovens, but VAT was reintroduced. So when we sell this equipment today, we will sell it plus value added tax. Now, we are not going anywhere. We have not benefited in any way, because we pay our materials at 14%, we sell the equipment at 14%. So at the end of the day, the taxation on steel at 30% import duty, and then you top up with value-added tax of processing or manufacturing the equipment, then at the end of the day, this equipment is not going to be cheaper to the end user. It's actually going to be a little bit more expensive. So ideally, I can say we have not benefited in any way from where we are at the moment and at the level of our equipment or industry.
Other challenges other than just dealing with COVID disruptions is the local engineering sector dealing with?
Well, one, yes, if you talk of taxation is one element, and when we talk of high cost of energy, it's a reality, because the machines that we are using, they are all electric driven, and we need more power. If we have to grow our industry, we need, one, reliable power. We go for a day or two. At times, we don't have power. If you switch on a generator, it becomes twice the cost of production. So at the end of the day, yes, we have heard about power cost reduction, but it has never been seen on our bills, that we see that, yes, this is what we were paying and this is what we are paying. We see a small fluctuation when there is rain and when the dollar rate is favorable to the Kenya shilling. There we see, but ideally, it's too expensive to produce, and labor is also not cheap anymore. We are talking of high-skilled personnel that you need. We are working with engineers, degree holders or diploma holders who will understand what we are doing and why we are producing and why we are using sophisticated equipment to produce what we are producing.
The latest report from KPMG and the Kenya Association of Manufacturers indicates that over 30,000 people have lost their jobs. How is DK Engineering dealing with that situation?
Well, it's a negotiation between ourselves, and when we negotiate and come up with a survival tactic, because these are people you have trained, you have developed them, you have developed the skills over and above the engineering knowledge, so that they specialize in producing certain equipment. So losing them is very expensive. So we sit down and actually negotiate and agree, because honestly, we are on a survival mode.
What role then can innovation play to boost the local manufacturing industry?
Well, number one is, can we believe in ourselves? We need to believe in ourselves. We need to appreciate that we have come of age to produce different items and get the right support. And the right support will come not in form of finances, but local support by purchasing and using our equipment. Buy Kenya, you build Kenya.
Is the time right then for locally engineered solutions, and how does Kenya compare regionally?
Well, it's time now to specialize in what one wants to do. We want to specialize in food processing equipment. Other people will specialize in automotive. Different sectors in engineering must specialize so that we can compete, because currently the competition is global. You can import something from China, you can import from Europe, you can import from anywhere, as long as you have your money. So what we need to do is to believe in ourselves, support ourselves, and use our own. It is time for engineers to stand up and come up with solutions that will meet our needs in different sectors. We saw the person who came up with beds, the hospital beds, and he's producing. He got an order for what he got, and this is what we want to see, more and more of our own, supporting our industries and our economy. And that's the only way we can grow.
There are plans to raise the manufacturing industry's contribution to GDP to 15%. From where you sit, is it feasible?
Yes, it is feasible. It is feasible simply because if you look at the population, we are talking of 47 million Kenyans. And with the 47 million Kenyans, they need each and everything that you can think about. Let's think of shoes, let's think of food, and mainly I will talk about food security. And this is where we would come in as equipment manufacturers to support the food security sector. And yes, it is feasible if only the support is there, because someone has to buy an equipment somewhere. So how will he be financed? By the government, by the bank, by an NGO, or his own savings? So we have to think about how are we going to support our local willing investors in different sectors. So we have to come up with simpler, easier, but also we also have to be trustworthy, so that if you get your loan, the lender has to know that you will pay.
So going forward, what should we look out for from the local engineering sector?
The future is bright as long as we have, one, economic and political stability. So there will be growth, and more so in the manufacturing sector. We do not have securities. I mean, Kenya as a land is not growing, but the population is growing. The need for funding is also growing, so that we can support many manufacturers, many processors, and grow and create jobs. The most important thing also will be creating jobs, because people who will use the equipment are getting a job. At the end of the day, there will be taxation on the earnings, and then the government will also increase their revenue. So indeed, yes, it is feasible.
Parting shot from an engineer?
The future is bright as long as we have, one, economic and political stability. So there will be growth, and more so in the manufacturing sector. We do not have securities. I mean, Kenya as a land is not growing, but the population is growing. The need for funding is also growing, so that we can support many manufacturers, many processors, and grow and create jobs. The most important thing also will be creating jobs, because people who will use the equipment are getting a job. At the end of the day, there will be taxation on the earnings, and then the government will also increase their revenue. So indeed, yes, it is feasible.
Thank you very much, Leonard Kamau, for your time. There you had it. The time is right for the local engineering sector. And as far as innovation is concerned, that's the direction they are ready to take. Buy Kenya, build Kenya. I'm Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1, and this is Business Insights.
British research firm Oxford Economics projects the global travel demand to drop 57% in 2020, dented by tighter border controls and quarantine measures imposed in an effort to stem the COVID-19. The firm says demand for overseas tourism is unlikely to return to the 2019 levels until in 2024, reflecting the economic effect of the pandemic and lingering negative sentiments toward international travel, including the impact on both leisure and business travel. Here are the details in our international business news roundup.
Research firm Oxford Economics says a 57% fall in tourist activities is projected, as all regions are likely to see a decline, with trips to North American destinations expected to post the steepest drop of 70%. The 10 cities with the biggest percentage falls are expected to be all in the United States, including New York. The International Air Transport Association released its financial outlook for the global air transport industry, showing that airlines are expected to lose $84.3 billion in 2020. IATA predicts that global air transport will not resume to what it used to be like until 2024. Meanwhile, Brazil is seeing a booming e-commerce market after a surge in online shopping amid the COVID-19 pandemic, with more people preferring to shop online as to visiting physical stores, most likely out of fear of exposure to the virus. The country's e-commerce sales volume more than doubled, with tens of thousands of new store owners lured by the soaring market. From March to July this year, 135,000 new stores started their online businesses, an increase of 230%. E-commerce experts say online stores are also utilizing emerging technologies such as virtual reality to add to the shopping experience and attract more customers. Online store owners are advertising on social networks, which is contributing to the rapid growth of e-commerce and booming sales. Finally, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries has lowered its forecast for global crude demand in 2020 due to continuous impact brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. OPEC projects that the daily oil demand globally to decline by 9.46 million barrels per day this year, more than 9.06 million barrels per day decline than estimated in August. OPEC says that in addition to the COVID-19 pandemic, other factors including high debt, geopolitical risks, global trade situation and Brexit will also bring uncertainties to global economic development and then affect oil demand.
And time now for sports news. Football Kenya Federation Electoral Board has promised to deliver a free and fair elections in line with World Soccer Governing Body, FIFA, and FKF statutory framework. The Electoral Board chairperson Kentais Tikolo assured this today when she conducted a training session for presiding and returning officers who will oversee this year's elections.
The long wait for FKF elections is over. It is only a day now that is remaining in order for the planned county elections to be held. All eyes will be on the FKF Electoral Board that is tasked to ensure Football Kenya Federation elections are above board. The Electoral Board chairperson Kentais Tikolo has assured of a free and fair elections for both county and national levels. Tikolo made the assurance as she presided over a training session for returning and presiding officers in Nairobi.
Audit a process if everybody is doing their own thing. And so we are bringing the returning officers here to get training that will ensure that the elections are smooth, they are uniform, and they are auditable. So that is the key reason why we have them being trained. The entire process is going to be auditable. And so we have specific ballot papers, we have specific ballot boxes that are transparent. We are going to have seals so that if there's a dispute, we should be able to go back and actually count them.
We have learned a lot so far on the electoral procedures, and our expectation is to hold a free, fair, credible and transparent election. An election that will be beyond reproach.
Matarajio ni kwenda kufanya uchaguzi wa haki na uwazi bila kuleta uwerevu fulani ama udanganyifu.
7 posts will be up for grabs in the county elections set to be held this Saturday, as aspirants will be vying for, among other posts, the National Executive Committee NEC representative, NEC Women Rep, County Chairperson, Treasurer and Youth Rep. The national elections are slated for 17th of next month. Frederick Moki for Channel 1 Sports.
Elsewhere, the government is set to roll out guidelines and calendar for the resumption of sporting activities in the country tomorrow. All the sporting activities in the country were halted in March when the government banned all gatherings in the country due to coronavirus pandemic.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohammed, together with health counterpart Mutahi Kagwe, are expected to release the guidelines tomorrow via a virtual conference, which will pave way for the resumption of sporting activities in the country. The resumption of sports is expected to take place in 3 phases, with the first phase being dedicated to medical and athletes tests, followed by the second phase where the players will be required to resume training individually for 7 days before training in small groups for a week. The third phase would come to collective training. Some of the non-contact sports set for reopening are athletics, volleyball, cricket, bowling, weightlifting, cycling, table tennis, lawn tennis, shooting, and golf. All the sporting activities in the country were halted in March when the government banned all gatherings in the country due to coronavirus pandemic.
On international sports news, where Paris Saint-Germain forward Neymar has been banned for 2 games after being sent off against Marseille, but French football authorities will investigate his accusations of racial abuse. The Brazil international was the last of 5 red cards in Sunday's bad-tempered League One match after he hit Marseille defender Alvaro Gonzalez. Neymar later accused his opponent of racism on social media and urged the authorities to use VAR to investigate, but Gonzalez has denied Neymar's claim. The other 4 players sent off have also received bans, with the PSG defender Layvin Kurzawa suspended for 6 matches. His teammate Leandro Paredes has been banned for 2 games, while for Marseille, Jordan Amavi has received a 3-match suspension and Dario Benedetto must sit out 1 game. The Ligue de Football Professionnel, the governing body of French football, has confirmed it will investigate Neymar's accusations. Well, with the time coming to, well, almost 20 minutes past the hour of 10, you know what? It's time to wrap up Business Insight for today. What's coming up next, you're asking? Absolutely, it's business. It's inside government, actually. Was the topic of discussion tonight. We are looking at the management of COVID waste. Look, if you want to understand how complicated the situation is, have this in mind. Before coronavirus, Kenya used to generate about 22,000 metric tons of trash every day. Yeah, every day. Now, imagine, at any given time, about 20 million Kenyans are wearing masks. And these masks, 90% of them you wear, you dispose. You do not want to imagine the number or the level of new and hazardous waste that we are generating as a country. And the question is, do we have an elaborate plan on how to deal with these hazardous wastes? That's the question. Because eventually, it's going to clog our rivers, leading to serious air pollution. And you know what? COVID-19 is bad for the air, and pollution is also not good for your health. And so the question is, what is the way forward? I had an engaging discussion with the Principal Secretary in charge of Environment and Forestry, Dr. Kiptoo. Our discussion is very interesting. You must listen to these, because it's going to give you tips on how to dispose that PPE mask that you are wearing and any other COVID-19 related item that you have, because you don't have to go around throwing it everywhere. You have to stay around for that. It's coming up in the next, let's say, 10 minutes. But before there, we have the weather. I know it has been hot. Absolutely, it's been hot, like the Kalahari Desert. Today, the hottest we ever got today was 25 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, it's going to be worse at 26. Oh yeah. If you remember just last week, we were talking about lows of 17. Tomorrow we are talking about 26. Irene Muchuma is going to give a weather update for the next how many days? Tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days. Oh yeah, so that it's going to allow you to plan. That is the weather report that is coming up here. I'm done. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Right, Obrien, indeed it's time for us to find out how weather patterns are unfolding here in the home country. I hope you're well from wherever you are. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. Tonight, the whole country has been covered with partly cloudy conditions. In other words, there is no part of the country that is experiencing wet conditions, and that is how the night will be. But then, how has it been in the day? It has been sunny here in the capital, and these are weather patterns that also prevailed over most parts of the country. Weather experts say that days would spread towards the weekend, and that gives us time to prepare enough for the weekend. Like in Nairobi, it will mainly be sunny in the next 5 days, and these wet conditions that we're seeing from Saturday through to Tuesday will only affect mountainous regions, and that will be only over a few places. In Mombasa, it will mainly be sunny, and the light showers that will affect Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday will only affect few areas. Like tomorrow morning, the county of Lamu is the only one that will be affected with light rains. This as the whole country experience sunny intervals during the morning hours. These are weather patterns that will spread towards the afternoon hours, and right from the northeastern parts of the country, the coastal strip, Nairobi, and counties around the region, as well as the northwestern parts of the country and western parts of the country, it will mainly be sunny. These showers that you're seeing here will only affect the county of Trans Nzoia, and these will mainly be in Kitale. These will be showers that will be experienced in the county of Lamu during the late afternoon hours. Let's have a look at temperatures, and this is it. The highest will be experienced in Lodwar and Mandera at 36 degrees Celsius. The capital will experience highs of 26 degrees Celsius. How about we cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast? Do have a good night. See you tomorrow. Majali.